Hello, everybody. In the series of videos that Optometry Council of India is bringing to you, in the next series of videos, we have with us Professor Jamil Rizwana. Hello, Rizwana.
Hi, Lakshmi.
Rizwana is heading the binocular vision as well as the vision therapy department in Shankar Nethralaya, Chennai. And she's also the assistant professor at Elite School of Optometry, one of the prestigious colleges of optometry in India. And she has a very keen interest towards child eye health, and she loves to look at children's eyes. So as the topic goes, and all of you would have guessed, today's topic is about children and eye health. So thanks, Rizwana, for giving us the time to do this.
It's my pleasure.
So one basic question, Rizwana, which all parents have: when should I take my child for an eye examination? What's the appropriate age? When should I take, and how often should I get my child's eyes examined?
Okay, so that's a great question to begin with. Every child should have an eye examination once a year at least, like whatever age that the child is at, once a year eye examination is recommended. But there is no minimum age, I would say. Even beginning from 1 year of age, eye examination needs to be done, especially when there is a family history of either one parent or both parents wearing spectacles, or any other family member having known eye problems. Then the child needs to have an eye examination as early as possible. Even beginning from 1 year of age, this can be done. But one thing I would want to emphasize is that any child who's got a developmental delay, like any sort of risk associated in and around birth, like a history of preterm birth or a history of retinopathy of prematurity, which is associated with preterm children who are born, less than 28 weeks. So any sort of preterm birth history warrants an eye examination as early as 1 year of age.
Okay, there's a very interesting fact that you brought, saying that if the parents are wearing spectacles. So
Right.
the next question kind of leads to that. So does it mean that, every kid who has their parents wearing glasses is bound to wear glasses? Or even the other way around, like we have parents who don't wear spectacles at all. And when we say that the child needs glasses, they always say, well, but we are not wearing glasses. How come the child needs to wear glasses? So either way, what's your answer to that?
Right. And there is no better time to answer this question than now. So, as you rightly said, parents wearing glasses definitely increases the risk for the need of glasses in children. But having said that, I would want to introduce the term which is called epigenetics. What it means is that the interaction between environment and the genetic aspects of any disease for that matter. So what it tells to us is that though parents have spectacles, the parents wear spectacles, the environment plays a key role in determining if the child is going to need spectacles or not. For example, if a child is going to be engaged in a lot of indoor activities without much exposure to outdoor, then this child is definitely at increased risk for wearing spectacles. Whether the parents are having spectacles or not, it doesn't matter. And that is when the second situation happens, when the parents do not really have any myopia or wear spectacles, but the child is going to constantly engage in near visual activities for extended hours, use gadgets for longer hours, then that child is also at risk for wearing spectacles. So basically it's about balancing your near visual activities along with adequate exposure to outdoor. So the current recommendation says that engage children in minimum 90 minutes of outdoor activities, and research papers tells us that every hour of outdoor reduces the risk of myopia by 2%. So so I would like to emphasize more on these environmental aspects in addition to the known genetic risk that we know about.
So irrespective of whether the parents wear glasses or don't wear glasses, better to get the kids' eyes examined at the early.
Yes.
And this leads me to the next question. You were talking about gadgets, and now that's become the norm, right? Even in children, with all the schools kind of taking online classes, gadgets, it's become a part of life, be it computers, tabs, mobiles,
Right.
so on. So what's your thought on in terms of, reducing the effects of that? Yeah, sorry about
So, no, the use of gadgets, I would say, has become inevitable in the life of all of us, right? It's not only about kids, but when it comes to kids, I mean, it's become more mandatory now, because now, apart from using it for entertainment purposes, like for video games and all those things, they have started to use it for their online classes also. So of course, when it has become unavoidable, there are two things I would like to tell. One is about reducing the cumulative use, that is continuous use of the gadgets for any sort of near visual activities. So cut down at least, if possible, every 45 minutes. And that's what most schools are currently doing. They're not scheduling classes for no longer than 45 minutes, and they are giving a break for 10 to 15 minutes. So, taking frequent breaks when they are engaged in their reading or any sort of near activities. And as I just told, it's about making sure that they go and play outdoor in natural light at least for 1 to 2 hours a day. Even if they're not able to step out of the gate, at least wherever it is possible, be it terrace, balcony, or the park within the gated community, whatever, it is recommended that the parents need to find some creative ways to engage the child in outdoor activities where they get exposed to natural sunlight. So it's about having to understand that these gadgets are not going to leave our lives, but then look at how we can establish a healthy relationship with gadgets. Yeah.
So, in terms of using of gadgets and stuff like that, is there some particular lighting, or in fact, even for reading books, is there some recommendation regarding a particular lighting that we have to use?
Okay, so when it comes to doing work with any gadgets, I have two recommendations. The number one is with respect to the distance that the child uses the gadget, which is again, research says that any child that tends to use gadgets at less than 20 centimeters, okay, which is like really very close here, and for more than 45 minutes of continuous activity. Okay, so less than 20 centimeters for more than 45 minutes of extended near activity, of course, increases the risk for short-sightedness. So that is the number one thing. The second aspect is about having exposure to natural light, and then making sure that the room light is ambient. It's adequate and appropriate. Because children tend to work under dim illumination, especially using gadgets with the room light switched off, or lying down in an awkward posture and then doing their homework where there is not enough light onto the reading material. So it's important to make sure that make sure. So can you hear me?
Yes, go on.
So it's important to make sure that that they have ambient room lights when they are engaged in these near activities. And some research, I think, from the French Agency for Food, Environmental and Occupational Health and Safety, advises against using strong LED light sources that emits this cold white light. Because most of our gadgets also sort of have this risk of emitting blue light. So not use strong LED light sources, because that increases the risk for what we call as ocular phototoxicity. That is, because of increased light levels inside the eye, there could be long-term consequences, which we do not know at this moment. So these are the recommendations when it comes to the distance, the time for near activities, plus the lighting recommendation.
That's interesting. So we moved from incandescent light to LED lights, and they also have some side effect or the other. So that's really interesting. And LED lights, even for us as adults, I know it's quite strong when you look at those LED lights.
Yeah.
Now, the other question is something that parents always ask, having read in papers and things like that. What is a lazy eye, and how do they know if their child has a lazy eye?
Right. So lazy eye, technically we call it amblyopia. So what it means that during the critical period for visual development, so during the very early years of visual development, which is somewhere between 0 to 8 years, if the child has got high powers in the eye, okay, which requires the need to wear spectacles, or deviation of the eye. Like we would see children who either have their eyes deviated inside or outside. The eyes are not aligned actually. So in both these conditions, what really happens is that the brain is not receiving adequate information from the eyes to get stimulated. So that because it's important for the brain to receive good visual input from both the eyes, so that the coordination between the two eyes gets strengthened, and then what we call as three-dimensional vision gets developed, because that is important for all our daily living activities. So in the early periods of vision development, when the child has got a high power, especially in only one eye, when the child would not even notice it unless it closes the other eye. So in such cases, and in squint or eye deviation, the brain is not going to receive normal visual input, and that is going to make the eye lazy. But the good news is this: the earlier that we are able to pick this up, the presence of the power or the squint, there are treatment options, definitely, either the need to wear spectacles or getting the squint corrected. And that. So as I said, if during the early periods of visual development, if the brain is not going to receive proper visual input from both the eyes, then that's going to hamper the overall visual development. And most crucially, vision is a key component to, that influences learning, as well as overall development of the child. When it comes to the overall holistic health and well-being, vision is a very, very crucial component. So that is the reason why we actually encourage parents to get an eye examination done as early as possible, because children cannot verbalize their problems. I mean, that I have a visual issue, or I'm not able to see with just this eye, so because children are, they cannot verbalize their problems, parents need not assume anything. So it's always better to have an early eye examination, see your optometrist, get their eyes tested. And then, as I told you, if any problem that's detected early has its solution, and then vision can be restored back to its normal levels. So that is the good news about lazy eye.
So basically, in summary, I think basically have your kids' eyes examined as early as possible, and have a regular comprehensive eye exam by an optometrist once a year. I think that is, and eye being such an important sense organ, we really, I guess, sometimes tend to neglect the importance of eye and eye health, both as parents and even as children.
Yeah.
So, in summary, if you have to say 3 key points, Rizwana, 3 key messages, what would they be, both to parents and children?
So the first message is has got its relevance to the current pandemic. The current pandemic has disrupted all our lives in ways that we would have never imagined. And it's also disrupted, parents having difficulty to seek for eye or any health issues for that matter. But it's also important to remember that children are not having access to their regular school vision screening programs because schools are closed, and it's going to take long time even before we start to restore these activities. Parents need to keep in mind that they have to now take their kids to their local optometrist for an eye examination. So they should not just wait for the schools to reopen and for the vision screening programs to come back. So it's not good to wait. That's the number 1 message. Number 2, because of the current pandemic, the risk for visual issues have also increased. We are yet to see the manifestations, but still predictions are telling us that children are definitely at increased risk for developing visual issues, even like, need to wear spectacles, but also dryness of eyes because of excessive gadget use and things like that. So it's important for parents to really know or to be aware about these issues and have eye examination. The third thing, as I would say, is vision is a crucial aspect that drives learning and various other issues. So it's really important for parents to have the eye examination as early as possible, and also to make environmental modifications. As we just told, make sure children go play outdoors at least 1 to 2 hours, and follow visual hygiene habits. That includes like reduce the use of gadgets as much as possible, and engaging in outdoor activities as much as possible. So I think the responsibility on the parents' shoulder is little bit, more than ever now. But nonetheless, I think having, if the vision of a child is taken care, then it's got like immense benefits for the life, for the entire life of the child. Yeah.
That you've summarized it so beautifully, Rizwana. And I think parents also should set an example, you know, not to go to bed with their gadgets in hand, with very dim lighting, or you know, always on the gadgets. So they should also set examples for their own children. I think that is also the key. And with the World Health Organization telling us that myopia is going to, you know, rule the world, half of the world at least by 2050, and how much this pandemic is going to accelerate that process, all of us are just yet to wait and see, right? So thank you for your time, Rizwana. Key messages to parents and children. So thanks for your time and all the information that you've shared with us.
Thank you, Lakshmi and OCI, for sort of doing this sort of a work, because I think now parents have access to information that is more evidence-based, and you are actually providing a platform. So you're doing a wonderful service. So appreciations to the entire team. And it's a pleasure actually for me to be a part of this, what I would say, a great initiative that OCI has done. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you.